Haribo. Starting with invocations, let us chant the part 2 of Kenopanisad. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahabhiryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Apyayantu mamangani vapranachachusrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani. Sarvam Brahmaupanishadam maham Brahma nirakutyam mama Brahma nirakaro danirakaranamastva nirakaranam nistu. Tadatmani nirateya upanishadsu dharmaste mayi santu te mayi santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeti manyase subedheti dabhramevapi nunam tvam vedha brahmano rupam. Yadasya tvam yadasya deveshvatadumi mamsyameva te manye viditam. Naham manye suvedeti no na vedeti vedacha. Yo nastatteda tatteda no na vedeti vedacha. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na vedasaha. Avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate mritam. Iha cheda vedi tatha satyamasti na chediha vedi mahati vinashtihi. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhira pretyasman lokadhamrta bhavanti.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The Upanishad tries to bring the basic distinction. The basic distinction that it is trying to bring is just two words we have to use to make the concept clear. And don't, for so many words that we use, don't look at the English dictionary meaning. Because we use it in a very special sense. Knowledge of Brahman is impossible. Knowing is possible. Again, knowledge of Brahman is impossible, but knowing is possible. It means knowledge and knowing are basically different. This has to be understood very clearly because Upanishad speaks a different language. It speaks a different language because the student is different. The student is able to grasp, the student is able to understand. Therefore, they take certain stances that generally what other scriptures do not take. That's why we place Upanishads on a very high, on a very high pedestal, because the way that it talks, the way that it communicates is fundamentally very different. So, first thing, knowledge of the Brahman is impossible, but knowing is possible. It means both are basically different. What is the difference between knowledge and knowing? The difference between knowledge and knowing is breathed and breathing. I have breathed, I am breathing. Are you able to understand the difference between the two statements? When you say I have breathed, it means what? You are gone. You are gone. You say I am breathing, means you are alive. Knowledge and knowing, it is like breathed and breathing. Knowledge is always of the past. The past means the words, the memories, the mind. Knowing is in relation to the present. So you can never say, I have knowledge of Brahman. You can never say, I have known Brahman. You can say, I know Brahman. You have to call it, you have to say it in the present tense. Knowledge is always used in the The word knowledge means the past. The word knowing means present. Knowledge of something which is from the past. Knowing is always in the present. That's why you cannot say, I experienced God, because experienced means it is past. Experiencing God. Are you okay? This experiencing God, when does it begin and when does it end? It has no beginning, it has no end. Again, I repeat. Narayana, are you able to follow? See, this experiencing God, when does it begin? Beginningless. When it will end? It is endless. Therefore, the word knowing in the present tense has a connotation of beginningless and endless. Knowledge always has a beginning, known, a full stop. In knowing, there is no full stop. Knowledge brings a full stop. Knowing doesn't bring a full stop. Are you able to follow? Knowledge means your experience is over. It has gone into the memory. Knowing means you are still experiencing. Are you able to follow the difference? Upanishad is very, very subtle. Yeah. Pandavanam Dhananjaya, Krishna amongst the Vrishnis, Vyasa amongst the Munis, Pushana amongst the Kavis. Adukku idukkum gear shifting is, there is no connection at all. The shifting of the gears from there to here. Sir, you are such a cheat, you will say. Why? Because when you speak about that, that looks like you make it appear like that is extraordinary. And then when you speak about this, you will say this will appear extraordinary. Doesn't matter. Anything in the present is extraordinary. You follow? Anything in the present is because the experiencing continues. The knowing continues. The knowing never has a full stop to say I have known. Are you able to follow the distinction between knowledge and knowing? If you are so caught up in the normal English vocabulary, you can never understand. That's why I said, forget your English dictionary vocabulary, forget your English dictionary meaning, and look at it in a whether the English language will accept the meaning that the Upanishad is giving, we don't care. This is the meaning. Sir, but English language will not accept these kind of things. Na? Forget the language. We don't care about the language. This is how, this is what it is, and this is how, this is what it is, and this is how it is. Are you able to follow? What is it? Whenever you say, I have known, I know means I have known. Knowing is different from known. Therefore, you say you can never have knowledge of God. You can never have knowledge of Brahman. You can only knowing. Becoming means that becoming is a continuous experience. There is no full stop to that experience. That's why they say what happens after the death of the body, that experience will continue there. Brahman continues, body goes. But what happens? If the body goes, experience of Brahman stops? No, because it is knowing, it is not knowledge. Tadeva Brahmatvam Viddhi Nedam Yadidam Upasate is said in that manner. And what the student has potentially misunderstood, what he called as knowing, the student misunderstand it as knowledge. Now he is correcting it. And he wants to test also whether you are understanding this difference between the two. If you don't understand the difference between the two, the Upanishad says, don't worry. For Sunday morning, tuition class will happen. In the tuition class, they will teach you all this. If you don't understand it, don't worry. Some tuition class will happen. Idella tuition class na adu. Ram Subramaniam. Free tutoring, free tuition class na adu. Knowing versus knowledge. Are you able to follow? English language will not allow you to accept it like this. We don't worry about the language. That's why I gave the example again. I'm repeating the example. You cannot say, I have breathed. You have to say, I am breathing. If you say, I have breathed, there will be no one to say, I have breathed, isn't it? Who's there to say, I have breathed? Who is there to say, I have known God? Are you able to follow? That's why knowledge of nobody will say, I have known God. Those who know God say, I am God. Because the moment you say, I know God, who's there to say, I know God now? There's nobody to say, I know God. Just as if you say, I have breathed, there is nobody to say, I have breathed. You cannot say, I have lived, isn't it? You should say, living, isn't it? So life is always in connection to the present, the living. Knowledge is always the past, the experiences that goes and sits in your memory. Now, God cannot be reduced to that. So, first thing that he's saying is, God cannot be reduced to knowledge. Brahman cannot be reduced to knowledge. Are you able to follow? It cannot be reduced to knowledge means you cannot solve the mystery. Knowledge is that which solves the mystery. Knowledge is aimed at solving the mystery. That the mystery of Brahman cannot be solved at all. Therefore, whosoever says, I have known, has not. Whosoever says, I have known, he may know through the scriptures. He may have gathered so much of information. He may have known all this through others. But he has not known. It is like a born blind person talking about colors. A born blind person went to physics class. In the physics class, he is taught there are these Vygoaric colors. There are these shades of colors. He has learned that. He has studied that. He can even talk about it. And yet he has no knowledge of color at all. Are you able to follow? Therefore, one who knows God understands that God cannot be reduced to knowledge. That is Upanishad. Are you able to follow now? One who knows God says God cannot be reduced to knowledge. Are you okay till now? Second thing, to know, it has to be a thing. A thing can be known. Anything that is known has to be a thing. Anything that is known has to be a thing. A thing means what? A thing means it's fixed, it's limited. Then only you can know. Something which is continuous, how can you know? Are you able to follow? God is not a thing because a thing can be known. And God cannot be known because a knowledge reduces everything to a thing. You can never say, I know. You should always say, knowing. You cannot talk about the experience of God. You have to talk about experiencing God. I had an experience of God, people talk, no? In Samadhi, 20 minutes. The person comes and says, I was in Samadhi for 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, I was in touch with God. Now what are you? You have become a... Now that experiencing what you have experienced for 45 minutes is not God at not. Do not misunderstand it to be. Stop on. Yeah, it is good. If it is stopping recording, it is very good. Yeah. Recording them problem. Yeah, if it is stopping, it's very good. You can never say I have known because there is not a single moment of stopping. Follow? There is not a single moment of stopping for which you have to say I know. At what moment you are disconnected from the divine? At no point of time you are disconnected from the divine. Huh? This claim of knowing God is ignorance. This claim that I have known God is ignorance. You have to say, I am God. That is knowledge. You cannot say, I have. Therefore, in the eyes of the Upanishad, what is ignorance? Claiming that I know God is ignorance, because in that claim that I know, remember the introduction we gave for part 2, the I will be always bigger than the knowing. The God will be very small, the I will be reserved. Yeah. Therefore, that I know this I know God is an impossibility. It doesn't happen at all. Why? Because there is no last chapter, there is no last page, there is no last word, there is no nothing. For what? There is no nothing for the Upanishad. Therefore, he says, it is not knowledge, it is knowing. It is not knowledge, it is knowing. What is this knowing? What is this knowing? Knowing means some relative examples only we have to give. Knowing means dispersing in 360 degrees. Rose disperses fragrance 360 degrees. It doesn't matter who comes, who doesn't come, who's the receiver, who's the beneficiary. Even in the remote forest where there is nobody to appreciate it also, it will still keep dispersing. So what is this knowing? Knowing means simply dispersing. Are you able to follow? This is beauty. So the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman, and the one who has become Brahman constantly will disperse Brahman only. As you pass by, and if you have the sensitivity, you can carry a little bit of fragrance. As you pass by, if you are dull, you will not carry any fragrance. If you pass by that person, something in that person disperses. So anybody who passes by will carry some fragrance. Isn't it? You know, at least I felt the difficulty. You cannot bunk school and go to a movie. If you come back, you will get caught. And you know how you will get caught? How? Ravi, experience irka? How you will get caught? You want to bunk school and go to movie. You cannot. You come back and you will get caught. As soon as you enter the house, the grandmother will catch you. She will say, cinema poitu vandiya? She will ask. How? Vijayarangan, how? How? Do you know? Does anybody have an experience of that? Narayana, you are right. Your dress will smell of cigarette. Everything about you will be cigarette. Because in the movie, everybody is smoking. So you carry the fragrance. So as soon as you enter the house, what will you carry the fragrance of? Then we found a method. Smuggle one more dress. Yeah. So as you leave the house, you have to smuggle one extra pair of uniform. It leaves the fragrance behind. Yeah, dispersing it is. You follow? Anga poitu vanda cigarette, isn't it? After a very long time, in the city London only, I experienced it quite a few times. You go out and come inside home, you will smell of you will that whole thing, because that's a fragrance around. You catch that fragrance. What is being dispersed? If you pass through a Brahman, if you pass through a knower of Brahman, what fragrance you will is dispersing. What is being dispersed? Brahman. You will get a fragrance of it. And that fragrance is your motivation. That fragrance is your inspiration. Are you able to follow? You will disperse that fragrance. And that fragrance that you catch little bit here and there becomes your inspiration, motivation. Are you okay till now? The long Upanishad. What is the process of knowing? Effect of knowing is dispersing. What is the process of knowing? There is only one process. The only process to become knowing is renounce the past. Renounce the renounce the past. Die to the past so that you can be alive in the present. Renouncing the past means surrender. Again, I repeat. Renouncing the past means, what is renouncing the past? Renouncing the past means leaving family, wealth, job, adalla, that is not renouncing. Renouncing the past means learning to surrender. That is the process. What is the process of knowing now? The process of knowing is through surrender. That's why Upanishad talks about surrender a lot. In the Bhagavad Gita, he will talk about technique a lot. In Upanishad, they will talk about surrender a lot. Understand the difference. Bhagavad Gita is very popular, very famous. You will find it very useful. Upanishad, you will not find it useful. In fact, Upanishad is very scary because the process of knowing is through surrender. Are you okay till now? Now a few words about the process. Sunil, don't get excited about what we are going to say now. Summa story mari, hear it and forget it. Just listen to it as the Kataka Lakshaipa story and forget it. Narayana. Practice lam panavana. Don't try to practice all this. Simply forget it. Huh? What is the process of knowing? The process of knowing is through surrender. First thing about surrender is you cannot ask how to surrender. The very how itself is against surrender. Are you able to follow? The very indication, the starting point of the you cannot ask. When you ask how, you are asking for a method, you are asking for a technique, you are asking for some knowledge. The moment the person asks how to surrender, Upanishad will say, go back. Go back to Bhagavad Gita, go back to Chitta Shuddhi, go back to Karma Yoga, and then come here. Don't come here now. Because it is like asking, okay, even relatively, if you ask how to love, if you ask how to love, one thing is certain, what? Love is not for you. Because how means acting. Somebody can, if somebody can teach you how to love, is that love? Huh? Would that be known as love? Would that be called as love if you are taught how to love? People want technique how to love also, no? That's why we should see movies, sir. They teach you how to love. Huh? Two fellows are acting. And you learn love from that. You will also end up pretending to be a lover. Because in a movie, they are only pretending they are lovers. No, they are not in actual love. They don't know what love is. So what do you learn from that? Pretension. Therefore, if you ask for a technique how to surrender, and then you are told this is the technique to surrender, it will be simple attention. Literally happens, no? At least everybody in your lifetime will have at least one guy in the group. Because all of us had groups, no? Some groups are gone. Some groups will be still kept alive. In our foolishness, we are still keeping that group alive. That 5, 6 of us are still alive. But we don't. 5, 6 are still alive. That groups. So everybody will have this in their group. One fellow. The fellow will ask, I am in love with this person. What to do now? They will come and ask, I am in love. What to do? My grandmother used to tell me, she will ask me. Because I used to coach. And I don't fear, because my people know that I'm always, I will only coach, I won't do under conviction they have. Yeah. So I was coaching, I was coaching a person how to love a boy, how to love. He would go do all that is said and come back as a failure always. Come back as a failure always. Why? Because whatsoever you do, something will go wrong. How much ever you train the person to love, something will go wrong. Why? Because you say this is what you should tell the girl, and the girl will say something which we didn't prepare for, which we didn't rehearse for. So this boy will not know what to answer. He will come back. Is that love? Hmm. Then finally, another friend of mine came to strangle me literally when I said this. Hey, இதெல்லாம் ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகாதுடா. ஏன்னா ரெண்டு பேரையும் வச்சு ட்ரெயின் பண்ணணும் we said. For it to work, both has to be trained. We are only training you. The girl is not at all getting trained. So for this love to work, now what should do? Both of you come, then we will know. You say this, you react like this, you react like this, you do this, you do this. Wow, what a beautiful love it is. Everybody will appreciate that. Is that love? Palathu. அதுக்கு பேர் லவ்வா? அதுக்கு பேர் drama, isn't it? It's called drama. That is pretending. For there is no technique to how to surrender. There is no technique. If you cannot surrender, then follow some method. Carefully follow. Upanishad says, if you are not able to surrender, go back, follow some method. And by you following a method, you will come to one very deep-rooted understanding you will develop. If you, by following a method, you will develop some understanding. What is that understanding that you develop? I am capable of not doing anything. That is surrender. That point where you have understood that I am not capable of doing anything, you surrender. As long as you believe you can do something, method will work for you, surrender will not work for you. And most of the human beings, if not all human beings, they still believe they can do something. Still they so they ask for a method. And you give them the method. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they will come back and say, method is not working. It is like preparing the boy and sending to the girl. Yeah. All methods we give is like that. It will not work. Are you able to follow? Surrender means you have understood that you are not capable of doing anything. There is a total helplessness. In that total helplessness, you say, I do not know. And remember this, when you surrender, it's a total surrender. You cannot ask after 2-3 steps, where are you leading me? You cannot ask. Unsure. After following 2-3 steps, you cannot turn back and ask, are you sure? Are we on the right path? Are you leading me correctly? These questions don't come at all. The moment you have surrendered, there is no wrong path, right path. Whatever is told to you is the path. Again, I repeat. Having surrendered, there is no right path or wrong path. Whatever is told to you is the right path. You are sitting in a broad daylight. You are seeing the broad, bright sunlight. The guru says, it's dark, it's night. You have to say, surrender means what? You will say yes. Genuinely, you will say yes, because you are willing to keep aside, you are willing to renounce your understanding. That is surrender. Where you are willing to renounce your understanding, that is called surrender. And surrender requires very strong beings. That's why we always talk about faith, known as a blind faith and all, we should not have. ego satisfying it is. Ravi, Purida, we should not have blind. Yes, in Vedanta, we have always said faith is there, but blind faith and all, this is all ego satisfying because the person is still looking for a method, a technique. The person has not yet not yet developed the courage to drop the past. The person has not yet developed the courage to renounce the past. Therefore, you have to continuously keep giving some methods, knowing fully well those methods are not at all going to work. Or all the methods will do an extraordinary work. All the methods that is given to you will have an extraordinary work. What is that extraordinary work? I am not capable of doing anything. I have surrendered to you. Now lead me wheresoever you want. Do whatsoever you want to do with me, because I have done with all the methods, with all the techniques, I am done with. No. It should not be so blinding like this and all. We have to really use our intellect also, because in Vedanta classes, we are said you have to use your intellect, you have to do your thinking and all that. Therefore, it should not be a blind faith. Upanishad says, okay, go back to that Vedanta class, don't ask for Kenopanishads. Don't ask for Upanishad, because Upanishad means no, you have to renounce the past. What is renouncing the past? The knowledge. Renouncing the past means the process. What is the process? Surrender is the process. Sishyasteham shadimam tuam prapannam. The moment that person surrenders, it's very beautiful. See, ordinarily people think weaklings surrender, no? Ordinarily, that's why anything that you understand is wrong. Don't worry. Upanishad takes that stance. Because in your understanding, it is weak people that will surrender. So Upanishad says all that you understand is wrong, because the truth is exactly the opposite. Because ordinarily people think weaklings will surrender. We have to exercise our intellect. We have to use our intellect. All that we have been discussing so long. Upanishad says, Adallah, I don't know. All that I don't know. Go and ask all that there. Don't come and ask me here, because Upanishad means it is knowing. Knowing means you should be able to renounce the past. What is renouncing the past means? What is the process? Surrender. And what is surrender? It's not a weak heart. A weak heart cannot surrender. A weak heart can only doubt. It will surrender and it will doubt also simultaneously. That is why it will ask, are you sure? Are you sure? You want reaffirmation, reconfirmation again and again and again. In surrender, there is no reconfirmation, there is no reaffirmation. It's told, that's it. What is the problem? Do it. Broad day sunlight. No, it's pitch dark. It's night. Go to sleep. You will go to sleep. This looks very foolish, sir. This looks very, very foolish. I get cheated, no? If I am like this, somebody can cheat me, no? I'll be very vulnerable, no? I can get cheated, no? Upanishad says you are already cheated to the core. What more cheating can be done? You are already cheated to the core. You have cheated yourself already to the core. What somebody can come and cheat you anymore? Are you able to follow? Therefore, Upanishad takes a different stance. What is its stance? Surrender is the method. Surrender needs strong will. Surrender needs extraordinary willpower. Ganesh, surrender requires extraordinary willpower. Weaklings don't have willpower. They collapse very soon. They collapse very fast. Surrender means you do not allow your ego to come in. You do not allow your knowledge to come in. You do not allow your doubts to come in. You put aside everything. If the ability to put aside everything is called surrender. That is required for knowing. Now in part 2 Kenopanisad படிச்சுன்னு இருக்கிறோம். இதெல்லாம் பேசும்போது எந்த டெக்ஸ்ட் படிக்கிறோம்னு don't forget. The Guru is Madhyam Adhikari. The Guru is bringing the Madhyam Adhikari to the Uttam Adhikari level. Yesterday we said they are mediocres. They have also to be helped to rise to the highest. How does it happen? This is how it happens. Surrender is not a doing. Surrender is understanding all your doings only strengthens your ego, nothing else. All your doings, the ego is only becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. Therefore, you say, I do. Surrender is a state of choicelessness. Surrender is a state where there is you don't have a choice, a choiceless state. You can never ask how to surrender. You can always ask, how does surrender happen? Are you able to understand the difference? You can never ask, how does it happen? You can never ask, how is it done? That you can never ask. But you can always ask, how does it happen? We are talking about how it happens, not how it is done. How does it happen? It happens when you have tried and tried and tried, when you have tried every path and it has led you nowhere, when you have tried with every known thing, when you have tried all the known possibilities, whatsoever you can do, you have tried and nothing has happened other than your ego getting stronger and stronger and stronger. You come to a conclusion. What is the conclusion? What is the conclusion? I don't know what to do. I am incapable of knowing what to do. I am helpless. Therefore, surrender happens. Are you able to follow now? Therefore, surrender happens. When surrender happens, knowing happens. Are you able to connect now? When surrender happens, knowing happens. Because you cannot say, I have surrendered and doubt now. Are you able to follow? You cannot say, I have surrendered after 3 steps. I am taking fresh measurements, sir. I am taking fresh measurements. I am taking, what is it? Taking stock of the situation. I don't know. Taking stock of the situation and then reconsider the decisions. Are you okay till now? What makes you to understand that you are a failure? Desires show that you are a total failure. Desire is the proof that you are a failure. Remember this always. இதெல்லாம் உபனிஷத்து லெவல் இப்படிலாம் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் வரும் இல்லையா? பஞ்ச் லைன் மாதிரி வரும். உபனிஷத்து லெவல்ல தான் பஞ்ச் லைன்ஸா வரும். பகவத்கீதால ரொம்ப எல்லாம் வராது. உபனிஷத் இஸ் சோ பியூட்டிஃபுல். Desires show that you are a total failure. Why? You desire, it failed, you develop another hope, you fail, you develop another hope, you fail. Desires is a chain of continuous failures. Surrender means relaxed. Surrender means you don't have the burden of having to do anything. Surrender means surrender means what? The other side of the coin of surrender is not tension. The other side of the coin, surrender is a coin, 2 sides. One side of the coin is surrender. The other side of the coin is you are utterly relaxed. You are utterly relaxed, like the feather. It's so relaxed that it is floating so beautifully. Wherever it takes, it will not question the breeze. Why are you? What is the purpose for you to take me in this direction? The feather will not ask. It just grows with it just floats in the breeze, and it is so beautiful that way. So wonderful to be. Are you able to follow? So wonderful to be that way. How can a failure person be freedom from tension? How can a person who's courting continuous failures have freedom from anxiety, worry, tension, etc.? Narayan, புரியுதா? Desire equals, சும்மா போட்டு வச்சுங்க அந்த மாதிரி. Desire equals failure. Desire equals failure. Desire equals utter failure. You can put like utter failure, utter disaster, complete disaster. How do you know that? You had a desire. Desire brings desire means the hope. Desire means what? A hope for happiness. Yeah. Desire means a conviction that something can give you happiness. That's failure. Are you able to follow? Desire means, what is desire? Desire means a hope for happiness. Desire means something can bring you happiness. And you have tried that with any number of objects, any number of beings. It didn't work. Again, you will try with something else. Again, you will try with some other object. Again, you will try with some other person. Again, you will keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And all attempts will result in failure. I don't know. It is so scary. It is so scary, but people don't get scared at all. Doesn't matter, doesn't it? The other side of it is relaxation. A person who has surrender is utterly relaxed. No worry, no nothing, because there is no ego to worry. There is no pressure to succeed. There is no worry to avoid failure. Desire means the pressure to succeed and the worry to avoid failure. That's desire. What is desire? What is desire? I have about 250 definitions for desire. Still, I feel it's not, still I feel, no, something more can be told about it. And Brahman, you can't talk so much about Brahman, but about desire, you can say, about desire and ego, you can say so much. A person who has a desire has a hope. Hope always will be followed by tension, worry, anxiety. One day, what Buddha did, one day, Buddha did this under the Bodhi tree. People think if they go and sit under the Bodhi tree, it will happen to them also. Yeah. Nobody has tried techniques. Nobody has tried methods the way Buddha tried. Nobody has done it. Not one day, not 2 days, coming back and asking what to do. Years together, he was trying all that. One day, it was the month of May, Purnima, full moonlight. Sat under the Bodhi tree, looking at the moonlight. He just said, he dropped all the desires. He dropped all the ego. Surrender happened. Knowing happened. So, how does what you have to do for surrender to happen? You have to try and try and try and try and try and make the ego understand that it cannot do it. Straight away, you cannot come to that point. Don't try this method. Oh, surrender, Dana sir. Why not begin with surrender? You cannot begin with surrender because 2 days later, you will start. 2 days later, you will start doubting. Remember the story of surrender? The small girl went to the yajna with the umbrella. That is surrender. Remember that story. There was a prayers for rain. Years together, no rain happened in the village. So all the elders gotten together and they said, we will pray so that rains will come. So the village head who organized the everything for the muhurta, he was going. The small granddaughter said, I will also come with you for the prayer. Grandfather said, come. Halfway through the road, she ran back into the house and brought an umbrella. The old man said, why are you bringing the umbrella? Because she said, we are praying, no? We are praying. At the end of the prayer, rain will come and we will get wet on our way back. We will get wet on our way back. So this umbrella, it rained for that girl, it rained. It rained, definitely it rained. Not because of all these people, it rained only because of that girl. The old man said, leave the umbrella and come back. One part of him is saying, pray for rains. Another part in him is saying, there is no connection between prayer and rains. This is what will happen if you try to surrender in the beginning. Therefore, in the beginning, it is always follow a technique, follow a method. In the beginning. In the beginning, follow a technique, follow the method. And when you follow it so sincerely that surrender will happen. Again, I repeat. When you follow a technique, follow the technique so sincerely. Follow the technique so dedicatedly. By you following the technique sincerely, dedicatedly, surrender will happen. And what does surrender means? Again, I'm repeating. Surrender means you go and say, whatsoever you want to do with me, you do. Wheresoever you want to lead me, you lead me. I have no independent will after that. Technique means you take and you put your independent will. Surrender means there is no such thing. That's why we say you can, once you have surrendered, you cannot take your surrender back. But all of us takes the surrender back. We will surrender after a few months, few years, we will take the surrender back. Why? Because every step we are cross-checking. What are we cross-checking? Are we on the right path? Is he guiding us rightly? Are we on the right path? Is he guiding us rightly? You look at yourself, you know neither you are on the path nor are you guided properly. Why? Remember the example that we gave yesterday. What is the example that we gave yesterday? A person says, learn to swim, it will be enjoyable. Learn to swim, it will be enjoyable. What do you come with? What do you come with? You come with a hope and expectation that learning the swimming itself is going to be enjoyable. It is not going to be enjoyable. Why? Because water will enter you from in all possible directions. Water will enter you. You follow? In all possible ways, water will enter you. Then what do? go through the, therefore, step number 1, follow the technique. Follow the technique. And when you follow the technique, put your heart and soul in the technique. The technique of Shravana, Manana, Karma Yoga, Yajna Karma, Bhakti, idallam the technique. These are all called the techniques. You put your heart and soul in that. What happens? The ego will develop an extraordinary understanding. What is the understanding the ego will develop? It is incapable, it is incapacitated. The moment it recognizes its incapability, incapacity, within brackets permanently, not temporarily, within brackets permanently. Put that. Within brackets, fully, permanently. It is not temporarily. We all surrender temporarily. We all surrender, but within brackets, we think temporarily. Upanishad says surrender within brackets permanently. Permanently means the ego has understood that it is incapacitated of making a choice. It is incapacitated of knowing anything. Why? Because ego knows only one thing, desire. There is no desireless ego. Ego knows only one thing. What is ego? Desire. Desire means எவ்வளவோ டெஃபினேஷன் கொடுக்குறோம். இன்னைக்கு என்ன டெஃபினேஷன் கொடுத்தோம்? Desire means failure. Failure. Desire equals, but sir, desire is the motivation, sir. Desire is that which brings energy to action, sir. Without desire, how can anything be done, sir? You have done so many things. What has happened to you? Nothing has happened, isn't it? You have done so many things. Did anything happen to you other than worry and anxiety? Did anything happen to you other than sorrow and suffering? It means desire equals failure, because ego knows only one thing, desiring. When it understands this, it surrenders to that person that is surrendered. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam tvam veta brahmano rupam. This is the mantra that we are currently studying. So much we discussed. Don't lose track of the mantra. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam tvam vetah brahmano rupam. Yadasyatvam yadasya deveshvata anumimamsyameva te manye viditam. He's just going about with these two. He's just going about with these two words. Do you say, I have known Brahman? The Guru is asking. Any answer you give, you are trapped. If you say, I know, you are reducing Brahman to known category. If you say, I don't know Brahman, you are reducing Brahman to the unknown category. If you remain silent, again another problem. So the question that he's asking is, have you known Brahman? Edi manyase suvedeti. Suveda. So he's asking, Brahman is known, Brahman is other than the known, Brahman is beyond. Kshara, Akshara, Uttama Purusha. Kshara, Akshara, Uttama Purusha. All forms, all names and forms is the dress. It is the wearer that brings meaning to the dress. The dress doesn't bring meaning to the wearer. Correct? Will you salute the police dress or will you salute the police officer that is wearing the dress? Who's vital there? The police dress or the one who's wearing it? The one who's wearing it, not the name and form. The one who's wearing it. Hmm? If you say, I know, you do not know it at all. Beneath the reflected light is the pure light. Behind the reflected consciousness is the pure consciousness. The reflected consciousness, the conditioned consciousness, the reflected light is the police uniform. The wearer is that which brings vitality to it. Don't say the dress brings vitality. Dress mathna, that fellow will change. Are you able to follow? As long as I am wearing this mala and kurta and all that, Brahman and Vedanta, as soon as it is over, change the dress, you become somebody. Venkat. அப்படிலாம் ஆகாது, isn't it? அப்படிலாம் ஆகக்கூடாது. ட்ரெஸ் போட்டா ஆளே மாறிட்டார் சார். ட்ரெஸ் அவுத்த உடனே வேற மாதிரி ஆயிட்டாரு. The dress has no influence on the wearer. It is the wearer that gives meaning to the dress. The pure consciousness brings meaning to the conditioned consciousness. The reflected light, beneath the reflected light is the real. The difference is because of what? The reflecting surface. The difference between species. The difference between species is because of the reflecting surface that is different. But the original remains the same. The original remains the same. This is the mantra 1. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabramevapi nunam. If you think you have known it well, you do not know it at all. What I am saying, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate, you are understanding it as what I say as knowing, you are understanding it as knowledge. What I am calling as breathing, you are understanding as breathed. Not only you are misunderstanding it, you are also nodding your head as though you have understood. He is saying breathing, you are understanding it as breathed, and you are saying, correct, I understood. You want to know, the Guru knows. You want to know, the Guru knows. Therefore, what? The Guru is cautioning the misconception. Not only cautioning the misconception, he is testing the stability of the knowledge. Remember the pole example that Shankara gave in the Bhashyam? He gives that example, the pole. You erect the pole and then you test the strength of the pole before you tie the clothes. Before you tie the string and put the clothes to dry, you test the strength of the pole. Now he's testing the strength of the student's intellect. What is that testing means? Leaving your mind and intellect behind. Yesterday, that's what we said as leaving the mind and intellect behind is the logical way of talking surrender. What does surrender means now? Are you able to connect everything? Surrender equals leaving the mind and intellect behind. That's why when we go to temple, a place of worship, we leave the footwear behind, because you leave your mind and intellect behind. Why? Your mind and intellect can take you from experience to experience. and all the moment it is experience means terrestrial. Experience of God is also a terrestrial experience only. Therefore, mind intellect equipment cannot take you to the transcendental reality. Then, if mind and intellect cannot take you to that, then what option you have? What choice you have? That option, that choice is called surrender. That choice is called surrender. Surrender is nothing but the ego understanding its limitations. Surrender is very easy. The moment you understand your limitations, you will surrender. Only if you think you are all powerful, you cannot surrender. And today, and what makes you think you are all powerful? More and more information you have, you think you are powerful. That's why knowledge will not be liberally given. Knowledge should not be liberally given. Today, knowledge is so liberally given, the surrender quotient has gone out completely. You go to the doctor gives a prescription. How many of you do that? Sit and Google about it. When you are doing that, remember Upanishad. Remember the Upanishad. What makes you to think you know that? What makes you to think that with all the knowledge of medicines and chemistry and all that is prescribing something, what makes you to think that in 1 minute Google, you can understand that? That's why more and more and more knowledge makes you more and more ignorant. You are aware of it. Are you able to follow? It appears to be paradoxical, but it is the truth. More and more information makes you more and more ignorant, because without knowing, it makes you to believe you know. What do you know now after Googling the prescription? After Googling the prescription, what will you come to conclusion? Doctor and the pharmaceutical company are hand in glove to murder you. That's the only conclusion you will come to. This doctor and the pharmaceutical company are hand in glove to do what? To murder you. And people say, oh, I don't take allopathy medicines at all, sir. Commissioner. What to do? I don't take medicines at all. Why? Because Googled. In Google, it is said, what? Ayurveda only is the best. I'm also looking for that one fellow who said Ayurveda is the best. I'm not against Ayurveda. I'm not a medical representative of any pharmaceutical company. Yeah? I don't know. I'm just from where people get all this, understanding. Without knowing anything, they know. Yesterday, a mother and daughter came. The daughter was telling, and we were laughing, and the mother, when she was leaving, she left very depressed, because she came with the full understanding that daughter is the problem, left with the complete understanding that mother is the problem. Ravi, correct, no? Poor man, Ravi, he brought his daughter long back to me. Convincing the daughter, please convince the daughter not to go. I convinced the father now. Now who got convinced? Ravi? Daughter, you are. Okay. And we were laughing and laughing and laughing. What was the laughter? She was telling me, the daughter. Sir, there is one aunt in our family, sir. She's telling me. The daughter is telling me, there is one aunt in the family. And my mother will listen to that aunt for everything. That aunt has told her what? For 2 days, she had a constipation. The daughter had a constipation for 2 days. And the mother asked the aunt. Mother is a foolish lady. Yeah. Aunt is PhD in foolishness. What will they converse? So the aunt told the mother. What did the aunt tell the mother? Constipation comes only when people don't let go of things. So she's not willing to let go of some things. So she needs counseling. For what? 2 நாள் கான்ஸ்டிபேஷன் அவ்வளவுதான். 2 days of constipation. Now she has mental problems. She has to be counseled. Therapist has to come. Hmm? What to do now? Then I asked, is she a doctor? To say that from where did she? Somewhere in one Times of India article she would have read. அது கூட ஃபுல்லா கிடையாது. Because English she doesn't understand fully. She doesn't even understand the English language fully. So with the half-baked English knowledge, she will read one article. In that article, 15 technical words, not a word, she will refer the dictionary also to understand that. But a conclusion will come. What is the conclusion? It's a conclusion. Constipation, take her to a counselor. And the counselor, yaru? Sai. Who's the counselor? The third fool who will sit and counsel them. Adu naan dhaan. They came to me now. What to do now? What a tragedy it is. Able to follow. We were laughing for 10 minutes. Me and the girl was laughing, and the mother is getting irritated now. What to do now? Are you able to follow? This is what happens. This is what happens when you know without knowing anything. This is what happens. The Upanishad is very cautious about that. The Upanishad is very careful about that. Upanishad wants us to understand this very, very clearly. What is it? If you say, I know, you know very little. If you think I know well, you don't know anything. Surely you don't know anything. English எழுதும்போது perhaps very little indeed இருக்குது இல்லையா? That is not to make the reader feel very bad. Actually speaking, how it should be written. If you think I know well, you are a fool. You are a complete fool. That's what the Upanishad is saying. If you think I know well, you are a complete fool. Why? Example is giving. The form of Brahman you have known relates to that of gods. What all I told you as not God, you are saying yes. What all you said as not God, I am fully convinced that is God. What are they talking? Are you able to follow? They are not talking the same language. Therefore, now that which is to be known, I think is still to be ascertained by you. Therefore, that which you think needs to be known by you with clarity. Mantra 2 padinga. We'll go to mantra 2. Mantra 2. Unmute பண்ணிக்கணும். நாஹம் மன்யேசு வேதேதி நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச யோனஸ்தத்வேத தத்வேத நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச. அகைன் படிங்கோ. மியூட்ல இருக்கேன் இன்னும். நாஹம் மன்யேசு வேதேதி நோன வேதி. எஸ் எஸ்.
நாகம் மன்யேசு வேதேதி நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச யோ நஸ்தத்வேத தத்வேத நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச.
இன்னொரு வாட்டி ப்ராப்பரா ஃபுல்லா படிச்சிருங்க. நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி சொல்லாதீங்க.
நாகம் மன்யேசு வேதேதி நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச யோ நஸ்தத்வேத தத்வேத நோன வேதேதி வேதச்ச.
I do not think I know well. Not that I do not know, I know for certain. He amongst us who knows that, knows that. He amongst us who does not know thus also knows. Again, I do not think I know well. Not that I do not know. I know for certain. He among us who knows that, knows that. He among us who does not know thus. Know thus means first to do three sentences also knows. Perplexing statement. One of the most perplexing statements ever to have been made by a human being. The most perplexing statement ever to have been made by a human being. This mantra is replied by the Sishya to the Guru. இது சிஷ்யம் சொல்றாங்க. The Sishya is saying this to the Guru. It's a rejoinder. Correct. He is respectfully submitting. This respectful submission is an explanation that the student is enlightened now. இதெல்லாம் கேட்டா என்ன ஆகும்? That's why Kenopanisad பாதியிலே you will get enlightened. Isavasya Upanishad also will get enlightened only at the end. Yeah. Golden disk, Pushan, Karshe, Yamasuri, all golden disk comes finally. Yeah. Fifth day retreat, isn't it? Halfway through, the student is enlightened. Because this mantra is told by the student. Student says this. And what does he say? Do you think you know well? Is the question asked in the previous verse. Are you able to follow? Guru vacha, Sishya vacha, no, Gita, idhula varadu. Upanishads varadu. We have to supply all that in between. That's why the study of Upanishad itself is very common, because you will never know who's saying what. So that's why certain things are very, very... So Guru vacha, it's very clear. Sishya vacha. Now we are supplying Sishya vacha. What is the justification for this? What is the justification for this? Because in the previous verse, the Guru asked, if you think you know well. Now he's saying, Naham manyesu, na aham. Na aham. Aham means I, na not. Naham manyesu vedeti. Suveda. Previous verse also he said Suveda. Oh, nalla purunjirchin mandayatria, he asked. It means you do not know it at all. You didn't know it at all. Now he's saying, Naham manye suvedeti. Na aham manye suveda. I do not think I know well. Statement number 1. I do not think I know well. Statement number 1. Logic will say, if you don't know well, shut up, get up and leave. Yeah, either you know or you don't know. Correct? And if you yourself is saying, I don't know, then keep quiet. Statement number 2. Not that I do not know. Statement number 1. I do not think I know well. Statement number 2. Not that I do not know. Oh, konjam theriyuma, edo little bit here and there you have some glimpses. Statement number 3. I know for certain. How can you contradict in the same mantra like this? At least next mantra contradict. No, we will forget it. Yeah, at least the next mantra if you contradict, we will forget and we will appreciate. Same mantra if you contradict, what do I do? First sentence, I do not think I know well. Second statement, not that I do not know. Statement number 3, I know for certain. Statement number 4, he amongst us who knows that, knows that. Correct. யாருக்கெல்லாம் தெரியுமோ அவங்களுக்குலாம் தெரியும். கரெக்ட். He amongst us who does not know thus also knows. தெரியும்னு சொன்னா தெரியல, தெரியலன்னு சொன்னா தெரியும், தெரியும்னு சொன்னாலும் தெரியும், தெரியலன்னு சொன்னாலும் தெரியும். இதுதான் கேனோபனிஷத். Any sensible fellow will study this book. Any sensible, if you translate it, I don't know how you will translate it in Hindi, I'm sure. Hindi, I don't know. I know only Tamil only. Translate it in, I do not know Hindi. All the Telugu people here understands Tamil, so it is easy for me to speak. Sunil knows, everybody knows here, so it is easy for them also. Narayana, you understood, no? No? You understood, no? I do not think I know well. The statement it is. I do not think I know well. See, what you don't understand is, unless you have done some extraordinary purva janma punya, you can't even listen to this. The fact that you are even listening to that is you have done something so meaningful. The fact that you are able to sit and even study this, we have done something so meaningful in life. Who gets to hear all this? Naham manyesu vedeti, dona vedeti, vedacha, yonas tat veda, dona vedeti, vedacha. Sai, we will do part one retreat, part to do another retreat. Kenopanisad only we will do it like that. Isavasi and the drama we did. Isavasi retreat, 5 நாள்ல drama we did. Nothing happened. Okay. Kenopanisad Sai. Okay, no? Tell your boss also. Tell your boss also and take his permission. Kenopanisad part 1, retreat 1, part 1. Kenopanisad retreat 2, part 2. அப்போ கூட we will not finish. அப்போ கூட I will say 200 new things. Look at that statement. How can you ever make justice to these statements? You cannot make justice to these statements. I do not think I know well. Not that I do not know, I know for certain. He amongst us who knows that. He among us who does not know thus also knows. The Guru cautioned. The Guru cautioned in the previous mantra. The Uttama Adhikari, the highly grown student, instantly grasped it. Now he's giving a rejoinder. What is the rejoinder? The enlightened disciple is talking now. How he will talk? How can you talk about knowing? You can talk about knowledge, you can talk. How can you talk about knowing? Anything you talk about knowing, the language will break up into incoherent, seemingly meaningless statements. Any talk about knowledge will be coherent, meaningful. Any breaks up. How does it break up? That's how it breaks up into incoherent, seemingly meaningless statements. When Max Muller read it for the first time, he said, this is blabbering of humanity in their early childhood. He said, prattle, he said. This is prattling of humanity in their early childhood. The child blabbers, no? Some noise it will make, isn't it? He's saying this mantra, these mantras are like that because language breaks up into incoherent, seemingly meaningless statements. How can you understand that? How can you say that? He's making an attempt. He's making an attempt. quickly he says, I know it well. I know it. First he says, I do not know it. Then he quickly corrects himself by saying, not that I do not know it, I know it. And also I don't know it partially, I know it fully. The logical mind will ask the question, what? Do you know or தெரியுமா தெரியாதா? அவ்வளவுதான் அந்த கேள்வி இல்லையா? விஜயரங்கன் லாஜிக் இதான். தெரியுமா? Say it clear. தெரியுமா தெரியாதா? Yes or no? Do you know it or don't you know it? Because you can't say both. You can't say I know and you can't say I don't know. How can you say same about the same subject? And objective cognition can be explained coherently. A subjective apprehension cannot be expressed through language. Again, I repeat, an objective cognition can be expressed through language coherently. A subjective apprehension can never be coherently explained in knowledge. This is the first part of the statement. Second part of the mantra. He who knows that, knows that. He who does not know that also knows that. A self-realized person knows that. Even the person who is not self-realized also knows that. Be it a self-realized person or a mundane person, the self doesn't know these distinctions. Self enlivens the self-realized person, the self enlivens the mundane person. Wherever you say, I am hearing, whenever you say, I am perceiving, whenever you say, I am acting, whenever you say, I am feeling, whenever you say, I am thinking, whenever you say, I am contemplating, you are using the I. You are saying the I, you are using the I, you are in touch with the consciousness. So even those who do not know it also knows. First statement is very simple. What is that? Those who know it, the enlightened person knows it. All along, we say a self-realized person knows Brahman. How can a materialistic, sensual person know Brahman? Here he is saying both. Are you able to follow? A self-realized person knows. Who are the others who doesn't know? If you are not self-realized, then who are you? A materialist, a sensualist in varying degrees. A materialist, a sensualist in varying degrees. Enlightened is difference in kind. Materialist and sensualist vary in degrees. Here he is saying the self-realized knows the self. Others who are not realized also know the self. Who are the others who have not realized the self? The materialist and the sensualist. How can you say the materialist and the sensualist also knows that? Again, this is the beauty of, he doesn't say he knows Brahman. He only uses the word that. He only uses the word that. You could have straight away said knows Brahman. No. He only uses the word that. these conflicting contradictory statements is the test to the Madhyama Adhikari shaking their knowledge. Are you able to follow? These statements are the test. These statements are the test. How to reconcile these glaring contradictions? At the superficial level, it appears to be a contradiction. In the real core, there is no contradiction. This is the student declaration of enlightenment. This mantra is the student's declaration of enlightenment. With this, we conclude for today. We'll continue with mantra 2 tomorrow. We have some more things to say on this mantra. We'll continue with this mantra 2. And then it's only the and then certain motivating things is going to say later. We'll continue with mantra 2 tomorrow. So there's no problem at all. Totally, there are only 5 mantras in this section. So we'll continue with mantra 2 tomorrow. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we meet 8 a.m. India time. Tomorrow we meet 8 o'clock India time. Thank you.